Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Crimes, Killers, Cults,
and beer.
and Beer. I'm Bill, and this is my lovely parodical daughter, or parodical daughter co-host, Sandra.
You're kind of old
She's
enough.
back,
It's okay.
everybody. She's back.
I'm back.
I wish I had put like the "Welcome back" from Welcome Back, Potter or whatever. But this is yeah. She's been busy, but those of you who messaged me, I told you she'd be back, and here she is.
I
all
am
of
back.
her glory.
Yes, I apologize, for being gone. We just had a lot of craziness going on the last month and a half, and not just like Bill and Todd, Doug and I have been dealing with unfortunate deaths, and that's how shit goes sometimes, unfortunately. So, but I'm back. So
Yeah, but this is episode 151. I really hope everybody, and the messages I've been getting, you guys are really digging the Todd tribute episode, and that means the freaking world to me. I mean, it was really difficult for me to make, but that felt like it had to be done because Todd really was that guy. He's not just he's not just my buddy. He wasn't. I mean, he really was that guy that was special to everybody that met him, and if you listen to the tribute, you've heard a lot of people echoing those sentiments. So, but this episode is the perfect episode to release after the Todd tribute because all of you know that he was the self-described crazy cat lady.
Crazy cat guy.
No, he called himself the crazy cat lady. Because we're covering a crazy cat cult.
Doug and I have many cats too, so that's right up our alley.
But Todd would have loved this story, not because of what the crazy cat cult leader did, but because of all of the cats.
I'm not sure if you can tell that I like cats. I don't know if it was
obviously
obvious or not. I'm not sure, but
tonight we're covering Sheryl.
Cheryl. That's like when you like Sean Connery. Sheryl.
Sheryl Ruthven, crazy cat lady who runs a cat rescue center, but runs it like a cult. And she literally forced her people not only to retaliate against her enemies by strange methods, including moida, she also had her followers adopt as many cats as they could to ensure their salvation. Because in the Bible, in the book of Garfield, chapter 3, verses 27 and 28, it says, "He who provides the shelter to the most felines, who holy in our midst and of God shall be rewarded in heaven with lasagna and heavenly riches. Therefore, I saith unto you, open your homes to multitudes of felines, and follow me, for I am the supplier of the catnip and the meow of the felines. Thou shalt provide the most heavenly care to the felines, for they hold the keys to the kingdom of heaven, as well as domination over your eternal soul. Love them as thou loveth me, and thy soul shall be saved. Love them not, and thou most certainly perish."
Thank you, Garfield.
Must be Old Testament.
Oh.
Or maybe she didn't say that and that's not in the Bible at all.
It's
but
in
just
the
wait
Garfield
and
Bible.
See how close it's in the Garfield Bible. But just wait and see how close I am with this.
A testament according to Odie. I don't know.
But I mean I'm not far off though.
No.
So put a knife in that. But there's not a lot of information about Sheryl's upbringing, so we'll just start with the origins of the cult. This story begins in the Pacific Northwest in Bellingham, Washington. Sheryl Walker Ruthven is a Pentecostal preacher although she put her own spin on the message, as most cult leaders do. She was charismatic, and she taught fire and brimstone doomsday messages, as most cult leaders do. I mean, I honestly think there's more Pentecostal cults than any other religion because they preach fire and brimstone and damnation. It's easy to scare people with that message and use the fear to twist the message into whatever you want, and that's what they do. Because cults.
Cults? Yes.
Cults. Have we covered a cult?
Yes,
together?
we did. We did cover a cult.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
We did we did my fest.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh God, that was horrible.
Is this one more fun?
This is more fun.
See,
there's no kid diddling in this one.
Well, that's okay. But if there's cat diddling, I'm about to be out.
There's no cat diddling
Good.
either.
Perfect. No diddling in this episode, ladies. Well, there may be some diddling, but I don't know.
There's diddling, but it's with of age people who were consenting.
Oh, okay. That's great diddling. Okay, go ahead.
Right. It's a small cult and only had around 20 or about 200 followers, but they did some serious damage. And although I had never heard of this specifically, I do vaguely remember somebody at CrimeCon in Orlando telling Todd and me about a cat cult. So, I mean, and I didn't realize that. And as I was writing this, I was just like, you know what? That was kind of sounding familiar. And it's just like, yeah, somebody who had listened to the show, knew that Todd was a crazy cat lady, told us that there was a cat cult that we needed to look into. Well, better late than never. I mean, I wish I could have covered this one with Todd, but
well, I'll try my best.
No, nothing against you. It's just he would have loved this episode.
Yeah.
I can picture him saying it's just like, I would have joined that cult.
I don't know. I mean, do they have any brochures? Because depending on how it sounds, I mean,
nah, you won't like it.
Hmm.
But like Jane Whaley in episode 148, this cult is still active. Unfortunately, sorry, Fifi. I mean, it's not completely active, but put a knife in that. And also, like Whaley, Sheryl decided that she had heard the call of God, and she was married at the time to a man named Mark Walker. She insisted to him that she was not only God's prophet, but also his bride. She even held a wedding service so that she could be married to God, and yes, there is video of that.
Are there cats in the video?
Cats haven't showed up yet.
Okay, like
this is early on.
Get to the cats part, okay?
Cats come later.
Because if she was getting married to the guy and had the cats and the little tuxes and shit like that, I that would have been great.
You're not gonna. This story is gonna blow your mind. I mean, but in Spokane, Washington, in 1984, Sheryl and Mark met. Mark was tight-knit with his conservative Christian family. His mom tried to set him up with a girl that she knew who worked at Nordstrom's. Sheryl, however, was gorgeous and charismatic. And he met her around the same time that his mom had been trying to play matchmaker. Has there ever been a successful hookup initiated by a guy or a girl's mom? Like ever?
I don't know. I don't really have scientific studies on the matchmaker,
but and people. I mean, I know people that have whose moms have tried to set them up with somebody, and it didn't work. I've known a couple people that did that, but it just didn't work.
I don't know.
I don't think it's ever worked.
The Duggars?
Not in the United States, anyway. Not in the United States. Maybe somewhere, some country where arranged marriages are cool, but not in the United States.
Well, like I said, maybe like the Duggars or something. They're their own little cult.
They are. We'll probably cover them at some point.
Oh, yeah. That would be a long episode. Yeah,
Yeah, it would definitely be a two-part.
yeah, they're special.
We haven't done a two-part in a
We
while.
have not.
I think Ed Gein was the last time we did a two-part.
And so, mm,
But Mark was more interested in Sheryl, and he asked her out. They dated for 6 months, and after that 6 months, they were married. Mark was 23 at the time, but Sheryl already had a plan in place. She didn't envision being a cult leader at the time, and she didn't even want to, she didn't even want to go to church with Mark, but she did have a lust for power.
do cult leaders envision being cult leaders?
No, I don't think any of them set out with the notion of like, hey, I'm gonna. Maybe Marshall Applewhite of Heaven's Gate, maybe him. But like Jim Jones, he started off as a really, really good person. I mean, but then he lost his damn mind.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if like that's like an aspiration of people, like, oh, one day I will be a cult leader.
I mean, I don't think anybody starts off with that. And I say maybe Marshall Applewhite, but I really don't think that he actually did that. It's just something that happened once they realized it's like, oh, okay, these people look up to me. I can control them. I can wield, I can make them do whatever the hell I want. I saw this meme one time, and it had it was Muppets and everything, and it had this one guy, this one Muppet like in a robe, and this other Muppet like looking at just like with this confused, dumbfounded look on his face, and the one in the robe saying, Chief, God really wants me to fuck your wife.
Well, you really should have kind of done that in like a Kermit voice or something.
Chief, I can't do Kermit. Chief, God really wants me to fuck your wife.
That sounded more like Mickey Mouse.
I can't do Kermit. Chief.
Okay.
God really wants me to fuck your wife.
Okay, just for everybody listening, that was Steamboat Willie because the rights to that are. And now that you've just gotten me off on a tangent, I'm just thinking about the fact that, obviously Goofy was the only one that had ever fucked because he had a son. Gorsh. That's yuckle. But I digress.
Hashtag. But anyway, Mark didn't realize that she had this lust for power until after they had said I do and had started having kids. 10 months later, their son Colin was born. 3 years later, Landon was born. 6 years later, Olivia was born. After Colin was born, Cheryl's controlling side began to show. Mark decided to stick it out and try to. Or, did I say Mark or Mike?
You said Mark?
It was Mark.
I don't know.
Okay.
Mark.
But Mark decided to stick it out and try to make the marriage work. Sheryl finally decided to go to church, and she found one called the Gates of Praise, which is a Pentecostal church, complete with speaking in tongues and demon casting out and everything, which I've said many times on this podcast, including earlier in this episode. That's where a lot of cults come from. Pentecostal churches.
Sure.
Pentecostal and Mormon, I think, are the two most cult-producing religions.
Yeah, but Mormons, what do they do? Like dress in nice suits and pedal their bicycle around?
Careful what you wish for there, Sandra, because those Mormon offshoot cults, the Mormon fundamentalist cults that splinter off because they want to have, because they still want to have their polygamy and all that stuff. Those are some of the most vile and disgusting and violent cults that there are.
They are the kid diddlers, right?
That too.
Yeah.
But they're also murderers. Yeah, we haven't covered a Mormon offshoot cult yet.
Like normal Mormons are so nice.
Yeah. But as far as like speaking in tongues and everything, I've said many times on this podcast, it is group speak. I mean, you're not getting possessed by an entity that's making you speak in a different language. You're just going, how
you do it?
That's how I did it. And even as a kid, I knew I was just babbling, but my mom was just like, see, you could do it. You have to. Anyway. Episodes 10 and 11, people. But they also did exorcisms, and the drill on that. I mean, this church,
Meet a young priest and an old priest.
It was cultish. It was cultish. It wasn't a cult of its own. It was just a Pentecostal church. But it was led by a woman named Debbie Lynch, and Sheryl loved the fact that it was a woman leading it. And she bought into Lynch's preaching. Sheryl and Debbie became very close to the point that Mark later questioned if they were having a lesbian affair, although he had never had any proof, just a minor suspicion.
So when she said she was just going out with her friend for some scissoring, he thought they were doing crafts.
Something like that. Lynch made Sheryl an associate pastor, and the juices of power began flowing through Sheryl. She loved being in leadership. But when she preached, it was all about her and what everybody, what everybody thought about her. But her delivery was flawless, though. So people bought in, and she ate it up, to the point that in 2001, Sheryl split from Debbie Lynch to start her own church.
Dun, dun, dun.
It was called Freedom Fire Ministries. She had no training to be a pastor.
Okay, let's be fair.
At best,
let's be fair. What training do you need to be a pastor?
I don't know.
Come on. I mean, like you said, she had no training to be a neurosurgeon. I mean, that's a little different.
Well, in most legit churches, the pastor is basically like licensed or whatever, or he's been through training and all that stuff. But not Sheryl, not Jane Whaley either. But she was at best a substitute teacher for Debbie Lynch, but now she was in charge of her own church. But she hardly ever even read the Bible.
A lot of them don't.
Here's yeah. But here's a quote from one of her early sermons as the lead at her Freedom Fighter Ministries. Just pay attention, because I just want you to try and wrap your head around this. The purpose of all demonic soul ties is to bring you under that spiritual canopy of authority. So here's the godly soul tie, and here's the ungodly soul tie. The ungodly will buddy up to the godly soul tie, and all of a sudden, I will start manifesting symptoms of cancer.
Huh?
In what universe does that even make sense?
In hers, apparently. I don't know. I mean, I will agree that some people, when they buddy up to you, it feels like you got cancer. I mean, that's.
But the thing is this wasn't from text. I took this from a video footage of her actually preaching. That is word for word from her mouth, confirmed by the video. This wasn't something that somebody said that she said. She said this, definitely.
Seems legit. Keep going. Would you like to know more?
To quote Weird Al Yankovic, it's hard to wargles owls with
These
all these
marbles
marbles in my mouth. Don't know, don't know.
uh,
But the thing is, she sounded like she was an expert on whatever it was she was talking about. It's not the words; it's the delivery.
oh well, yeah, that's
And Sheryl had
that's what
mastered
like the comedian Eddie Izzard used to say. You know, it's like 10% what you say. You know, like 90% how you look.
90% how
You
you
look good
deliver
and
it.
you
Yeah.
sound good. You know, it's all good. You know, so like you don't need to know the lyrics to the Star Spangled Banner. You just have to, look like you're, and fish in the sky, but big eyes. You know, he says,
Well, it didn't really work for Roseanne Barr that very well.
no, but she's seen the light about that, right?
Anyway, um, Cheryl had mastered the delivery, and as far as her followers, most of which were poached from Debbie Lynch's church, believed that Cheryl was indeed the prophet of God. It's a cult already.
Did these people also know that the word gullible isn't in the dictionary?
I heard it was in the dictionary twice.
Better check.
It started off as another Protestant church, complete with all that goes along with it, speaking in tongues, casting out demons, etc. But the more Cheryl began believing that she was God's prophet, the stranger it got. She began sprinkling in facets from other religions that she had learned about. Now, keep in mind, she had never read the Bible, the Quran, Torah, or anything else. She pieced together an all new religion based on simplistic research, kind of like a true crime podcast that does nothing other than read the Wikipedia page.
Don't call yourself out like that, Bill.
Hey.
I know you do a lot of research. Just busting your balls.
It's the most action they've seen in a while.
Sure they have.
But she incorporated Catholic mysticism, Egyptian alchemy, even paganism, Wicca, chakras, crystals, and of course the end times, Doomsday, the tribulation, which, like all Protestant cult leaders do, she drove that fear of the end times and doomsday into her followers' heads, like Chicken Little believing that the sky was falling. And of course, she, and only she, had the means to save them from damnation. While most churches held the communion of the bread and cup, Cheryl would mix up a large pitcher of salt water in front of everybody, and she would have everybody come up and drink from the pitcher to purify their souls. And she would take notice of people who were hesitant to drink it. But what if somebody with what if it was somebody with high blood pressure?
Yeah, I know. It's like, excuse me, I need to watch my sodium intake. Drink or you'll die. Oh.
Yeah.
Rock. Hard
Drink and
place.
I will die. But not to mention, we learned in the USS Indianapolis story, episode 65, that drinking salt water will also cause you to hallucinate the more you get dehydrated. But most people willingly guzzled the salt water. I mean, at least the people in Jonestown got Flavor Aid.
Yeah, I know. Don't drink the fruit punch. That last drink's a Lulu, but
Yeah.
drink salt water. Okay.
But this could have been something that she got from Jim Jones as he groomed people with test runs leading up to the slaughter of over 900
Shouldn't they
people.
just put like LSD in the water or something and be like, all right, now you're really going to see God tonight?
You know, I want to join your cult.
You know what? At least that would be, something where it'd be like, okay, you're going to drink this, and I promise you're going to see God tonight. And then everybody be like, I really did. Everyone would be tripping balls. They wouldn't have any idea. That would keep everybody in the cult, man. They'd all believe you.
But she passed it all off as God was instructing her to do this. You know what I think? She just didn't want to study the Bible. She basically invented a new religion based on headlines. So basically, a clickbait religion.
I mean, that's a lot easier than reading the Bible. I mean,
yeah.
So much doom and gloom, especially in the Old Testament. I mean, God was just so angry and vengeful, and I mean, why? Who wants to read that depressing shit? I mean, I'd rather make something up that sounds good.
And those miserable psalms.
The Song of Solomon was okay.
That was the first erotic novel ever written.
Take some LSD. Go read it.
I'd like to see somebody, some filmmaker make like a softcore porn movie about that, about this based on the Song of Solomon. Although that might be considered blasphemous.
It's biblical, okay?
But she made people feel free by enslaving them and selling it through her cheerful and charismatic personality. She also had an ability to read people by talking to them and using what she learned against them. She was born to be a cult leader. But Sheryl and Mark got divorced in 2004. They had 3 kids and they got 50-50 custody, but Sheryl began keeping the kids longer than she was supposed to. And this began to cause confusion with the kids, and Sheryl was getting irritated by that. She was a complete control freak, and Mark wasn't really the capitulating type. He began to push back against Sheryl when it came to his kids. And what led to the divorce was Cheryl's, quote, calling to be the prophet and pastor of the church, and for Mark just to be the subservient yes man, much like Jane Whaley and her husband. Mark told her that wasn't going to work for him. He told her that she was full of shit, who just lit the fires of hell in the hearts and mind of God's chosen prophet and future brides. I'm gonna read that over again. I read it wrong. Mark told her that wasn't going to work for him. He told her that she was full of shit, which just lit the fires of hell into her heart and mind of, she's God's chosen prophet and future bride. She was not happy, obviously.
I'm getting married to Jesus.
Sheryl.
Okay.
I'm getting married to Jesus.
See, but you know what? If
I'm going to be Sheryl Jesus Christ.
But you know what? You want to be married to Jesus, just join the Catholic Church, become a nun. They're all married to God.
Oh, she wouldn't have made a good nun. This woman's horny.
Hey, maybe nuns are too. We just don't know, do we?
But Sheryl tried to make Mark out to be the bad guy. She accused him of beating her. That never happened. But Mark was arrested, but the charges were dropped. And after he was released from jail, to make matters worse for the prophet, Mark divorced Sheryl.
Oh.
He fought her hard. He fought her well. In the courtroom, he gave her hell. And when it came to the judge's decree, Mark and Sheryl would share custody. It fit. It fit. It did. If it fit, I'm going to do it. So she built her following as she always played the victim card, making herself out to be a victim of Mark, and it worked. Her followers believed everything that she said. Mark was the devil, and he was trying to take her and the church
Man is
down.
the devil.
But he was not only he's the devil. He was manifesting demons. But not only was he manifesting demons, he was Baphomet himself.
All right.
When Mark remarried, he married a loving woman. I don't have her name, but she also had 3 kids. But Sheryl made her out to be a Shera, a reincarnated temple whore.
Sorry, what? Reincarnated temple whore.
Temple whore. Yeah.
There were temple whores? Temple whores now?
Temple whore.
Their body is a temple?
But no, they're like, think of the temple as a truck stop. Temple whore would be the same thing as a lot lizard.
Ah.
That's what, yeah.
You know a lot about those, don't you, Bill?
I do, but not for the reason you're thinking of. Just because I've seen them and told them, go on, get.
Except for that one, it's like, all right.
No. They don't get free showers. You have to buy. Yeah.
Well, but you do.
No. But the whole
the shower fit 2 people.
The whole time this was going on. The whole time this was Mark. The whole. The whole time this was going on, Mark had no idea that Sheryl was preaching to her brainwashed followers that he was a devil who deserved to die. It later came out that Sheryl even had their kids talking like around the breakfast table and everything about ways for Mark to die. Like how to kill their dad. Yeah, to this day, unfortunately, sadly, Mark's kids are still estranged from him, and to this day, they believe that he is evil.
Sad.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. She also openly preached that in order for her to carry out God's will, Mark had to die. One survivor even recalled that Sheryl would lead prayer circles, and the survivor actually admitted to praying for Mark's death, although she's ashamed of it now. But when she was in the cult, she believed every word that Sheryl said about him. After the divorce, a woman named Mary found her way into the cult through her sister. She was a 27-year-old lesbian who was raised religious. She was a gifted piano player, and she had a very beautiful singing voice. And she caught Cheryl's eye right out of the gate. She loved the joy and the energy of the services. But when Sheryl heard her sing and play the piano, she just started bawling and fell to her knees in front of Mary. She prayed over Mary, telling her that her musical talent was a gift from God. And when she played and sang for people, God would speak to her and the people would be healed. Mary was hooked. And this is just an example of Sheryl being able to read people and exploit them. This is the only reference of faith healing in this story that I've, I mean, this isn't a faith healing cult, but there are elements of it.
Well,
like
I think every cult kind of needs a little some of that thrown in, like a little dash of faith healing, a little dash of, demons, a little dash of
Well,
apocalypse.
yeah, I mean, you can use that as a weapon. It's like you know, if you're sinning,
She
you're
gonna
not going to
heal
get
the
healed.
she
If
gonna
you want to
heal
get
the gay
healed,
out of this poor girl? Is
you
that what
have
she
to
gonna do?
put a knife in that. Mary was a lesbian, so she was attracted to Cheryl, but
Almost.
damn, homosexuality was a sin even in this church. Cheryl knew that Mary was gay, and she used that to draw Mary in, and as a result, of course, Mary fell in love with Cheryl. Of course she did. I mean, one night, wow, wow, wow. One night at a private meeting between Mary and Cheryl, they were at the altar talking. Cheryl told her that the two of them had to, quote, go into covenant. According to Mary, this was not marriage, but they would belong to each other and do the Lord's work together. And in order for them to do that, they would have to kiss to seal the deal. Mary, being a lesbian, was all about that. It was a realized fantasy, and it didn't stop with a kiss.
More crafting?
But
more crafting?
Huh? Yeah.
Oh, this poor girl.
Maybe a little bit of I won't go there.
Don't go where South Park went, right?
Well, you already did that with the crafting. I was thinking about seafood. But Cheryl constantly told Mary that their love wasn't homosexual because homosexuality was a sin.
I'm having sex with you, but
she
don't
would
worry.
Even preach, sir.
It's not gay at all.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, she would even preach sermons against homosexuality. But no, what they had was pure love from God. But they expressed this pure love from God in bed every chance that they got.
Oh, this is not good dating advice. But don't go up to someone and say we need to make a covenant.
I really do. I mean, I'm with you. I really do feel bad for Mary.
Yeah.
All this, especially because of what's coming next.
So wait a minute, hold on. When you said this was a cat cult, you're actually talking about cats, right? You're not talking about the.
No, I'm talking about the feline variety.
Because apparently, Cheryl and Mary.
Now the cats come later.
She really likes
the cats come later. The cats come later. But as far as Mary was concerned, she finally had the full commitment that she'd been dreaming of. She'd never get this from any other gal.
She brought her U-Haul. You know what?
No, I got that reference. I got that reference.
It's all good fun. I am not trying to offend anybody, I promise.
No, but that's a legit term. The U-Haul relationships among lesbian couples, that's a legit term. I mean, there's nothing offensive about it. It happens. But after several months, Cheryl swore that she was never going to give her up, never going to let her down, never going to run around and desert her, never going to make her cry, never going to say goodbye, never going to tell a lie and hurt her.
Good night, everybody.
Sorry.
I'm back on the podcast. Don't know if I'll be back anymore after that.
Hey, I told you ahead of time that I was going to
Okay,
rickroll the
but you
audience.
did that, but you didn't do like the dance when you did. You got to do the.
That might come later. Like I might make a video of myself doing that, singing the song and doing the, you know, isn't that the Trump
Yeah.
dance?
I mean, yes, but
It's similar. It's similar.
that's when you don't know what to say anymore. When you have no more speech left to make. That's it.
But it was a lie. Sheryl did give Mary up. She did let her down, and she did desert her. Things changed after about 4 months. And one night they were lying together, naked in bed after a steamy session of passion that was not homosexuality. Sheryl told Mary that this part was over and done with, and they were no longer together like that. Bitch. Oh. Mary had no idea that she was headed for a heartbreak.
Yeah,
I'm not going to sing that song. Don't worry. Promise. She was devastated, and Sheryl was just using Mary to get her in the church and get her into the worship band because she was so good, and used her until she didn't have to anymore. And what proves this? Mary didn't leave. Sheryl knew she wouldn't. You know why? Because Sheryl, like all other cult leaders, convinced Mary and everybody else that if they left, something horrible would happen to them. So Mary continued being in the church worship band.
Yeah.
Horrible, isn't it? 2008, Mark was still alive, but a patsy, a savior, was sent into the fold, and it wasn't a cat. We're not there yet. It was a man from New Mexico named Rick Madrid. Sheryl noticed him right off the bat. He was a biker who grew up on ranches. He rode horses as well as hogs, as in Harleys. He wasn't exactly the type to fall victim to a scam like Sheryl was running. In fact, in an interview, he described himself as a heathen. But then again, Cheryl's a heathen too. But Rick was a beer drinker and a bar brawler, which Sheryl, in her teachings, forbade unless you're going to get drunk and take out Mark.
I mean, that's kind of like, homosexuality. I forbid it unless, I'm sleeping with you. Sure.
Unless it benefits me somehow, yeah. But Sheryl obviously had a thing for bad boys, and she singled him out and began praying over him, making prophecies about him. Nah, I won't. Nah, I'm sorry, but, one Rick roll, that's plenty.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come in you?
Oh,
wait,
you can sing it. Go
no,
right
that's
ahead.
not it. No.
Oh, wait. Oh, nope. But she was making prophecies about him during church services, and let's face it, Sheryl was really pretty at the time. And pictures of her from that time, she kind of resembles Princess Diana shortly before her neck, but with oh my God.
I don't know what that was supposed to be just yet.
She resembles Princess Diana shortly before her death, although she had a much longer neck. That's why people listen to this podcast, to hear me fumble over my words.
I'm gonna start wheezing. Oh my god. Okay. No, I found it so damn funny. Okay, anyway.
She love bombed and seduced him quickly, and Rick says in an interview, when they were together, he would have visions.
Bit.
Now, keep in mind, Rick was her patsy. And you all know that I would never make fun of a cult survivor. But what I'm about to read here is verbatim from Rick during an interview. He firmly believes that, he firmly believes what he's saying. This isn't him being delusional, in my opinion. This is Rick talking about being brainwashed big time by the master manipulator pretending to be a good girl, Sheryl. And I should have uploaded some freaking 70s porn music for this. I could add it later. He said, when her and I were together, I would have these visions. There was some weird stuff going on. I mean, there was times when her and I were making love, I'd close my eyes and we were floating down a river and we were going under the water, in and out, down waterfalls. She got stronger and stronger the longer I was with her. She's something. I don't know what she is, but she's something.
Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to. She's something, all right. Rick relocated from New Mexico and moved in with Sheryl. Shortly later, what happened? Take a guess.
Oh, I don't know. Are we getting to the cats?
Nope, not yet.
I don't know. Did they form a covenant too? Did they
In a manner of
get
speaking.
married? Did he join the cult? Marriage.
Marriage.
What brings us together today.
Today. And love,
as an offshoot of that, what's really funny, little but I digress story. At Doug and my wedding, our friend did that little marriage thing at the beginning of our vows, and the audience. Oh yeah. Well, and of course
awesome.
Everybody watching, was laughing. Well, I had one aunt, God rest her soul, but I had one aunt who had no idea about that movie. And apparently she turned to my other aunt and said, I think it's awful that these people are laughing at that poor man with a speech impediment.
Oh God, bless her heart.
I think my other aunt was like, I'm pretty sure it's a movie. I don't think he actually talks like that.
I saw like a reel video yesterday, I think it was, of this wedding ceremony where a guy in a tank top came up and objected, and it turned into like a WWE brawl where it's like the husband, the groom and the other guy are like going at it. The wife, the bride comes up behind him and smacks him with a folding chair and knocks him down.
You gotta have that. You gotta have fun in your wedding. I mean, and I also say that in mine and Doug's vows, there is a clause also for zombification, because we said we'd be, together until parted by death, or zombification. These are our solemn vows. So we always tell one another, he looks at me and says, "You go zombie. I'm putting a bullet right between those baby blues," I would expect nothing less, honey. We got married on Halloween, just also.
So, of course you did. Instead of the You had the "This is Halloween."
We did play Thriller at the wedding.
Great movie. Sheryl then doubled down on the Mark must die bit. She said that Rick was the church's new spiritual father and the spiritual husband. Rick at the time didn't realize that what Sheryl was grooming him for, but he was brainwashed and believed 100% that Mark was just going to drop dead anytime soon. He had never even met Mark. In fact, most of the followers had
Yeah,
met him
well,
either.
you don't need to meet him to hate him, right?
Mark Walker,
To know he's the devil.
right? Mark Walker was just this evil boogeyman who everybody in the cult was supposed to be afraid of. So as Rick's grooming continued, Sheryl constantly told him how Mark was supposed to die. It was her will, so that meant that it was also God's will, but he wasn't dying.
I'm not dead. I'm not dead yet. I think I could get better.
I feel happy.
You'll be
You'll
so
be
dead
so
in a
dead
moment.
in a moment.
When's your next round? Thursday.
Could you give me could you give me a little help here?
Thanks so much.
What happened next? Take a guess.
What'd they do? Did she send her new love after her old husband? Try to kill him? Try to...
Pretty much. She started dropping hints that it was God's will that Rick be the one to take Mark out.
Seems legit.
Everybody's saying and saying no to God's prophet was a no-no. Everybody knew that. And that's all Rick heard. Mark has to die. And God says, Mark has to die. Are you going to kill Mark for me? I mean, the Lord?
Why doesn't the Lord just do it himself?
If you right? No, I'm going to start that over again because I meant to say that in her voice. It's saying no to God's prophet was a no-no. Everybody knew that, and that's all Rick heard. Mark has to die. God says Mark has to die. Are you going to kill Mark for me? I mean, the Lord? If you want more of this prophet's divine love, you're going to have to take out this demon. You've been chosen, Rick. The Lord has provided you with his holy AR-15, Rick. The Lord also taught him how to shoot the AR-15 accurately, meaning Rick spent over 100 hours and spent thousands of rounds teaching himself how to be a sharpshooter. Here's a word of advice, people. This just proves, I mean, we'll take guitar playing, for example. The only thing that sets my abilities apart from like Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Herman Lee
Talent
is what? Practice. You asshole. Practice. Rick became a crack shot marksman. He could hit anything from over 100 yards away. Had he joined the military, he could have easily become a sniper. During the child visits between Sheryl and Mark, Rick was at Mark and his wife's house multiple times. He stayed in the car, but Sheryl was giving him the layout of the house while picking up or dropping off the kids. One day, Mark and his wife were outside, and this time Rick was alone, and he actually got out of the car, which was parked at the top of their long driveway. And for the first time, he got out of the car, he set up the holy AR-15, and he had Mark in his sights. What happened next? Take a guess.
He didn't do it.
Nope. He couldn't take the shot. Mark and his wife say that he had a God moment. It was divine intervention. In a 2021 interview, Rick also said that it was God. It had to have been God that stopped him. Rick said that he would have never done this had it not been for Sheryl. He said that all the men in the cult were subservient and quiet and, quote, had no balls and were not real men, which, if you remember, is how Sheryl wanted Mark to be when they got married in the first place, and when she got her, quote, calling. Mark didn't even want to find out about the hit, or Mark didn't even find out about the hit attempt until several years later. And when he found out, he never reported it to the police, statute of limitations and all that stuff. None of the men in Cheryl's cult would have done this, which is why Sheryl fixated on Rick when he showed up. But now Rick had failed Sheryl. And I'm sure, you've already wondered this, Sandra, but everybody's wondering,
Yeah,
where's the cats?
Cat call. Where's the kitties?
They're coming. I promise.
That's the dragons in Game of Thrones. They're coming. They're coming.
Yeah.
The pizzas are coming. They're coming.
This story was so much more than this story. The kittens are coming.
You promised me kittens.
What? One red light if by land, two red lights if by sea. But the cats are coming. Rick went home and he asked Sheryl, why, if Mark was supposed to die, did God, why did God intervene? Like you said, why didn't God just take him out? He then told Sheryl that she was more full of shit than a Christmas turkey. Sheryl then kicked Rick out of her house and out of her life. Sheryl ruled with an iron fist and would call out and ridicule anybody who spoke up against her, or anyone who got, who she got a bug up her sexy ass about. And Rick was no exception. The neutered men in the cult bore the brunt of her abuse. She would make accusations against men in front of, not only in front of their wives, but in front of the entire congregation. And the men just sat there and took it. She would do this and then break into a maniacal movie villain laugh. And she said that these men's plots were irrelevant to her because she was God's prophet. And there's actually a video of her admonishing men like this.
It seems to me that she didn't really like balls that much anyway. She was, I guess she played for both teams, but
well, she did have, she played for both teams. But if you stood up for yourself or had the balls to tell her no about anything, you'd pay severely. And as far as Sheryl was concerned, Rick had a target on his life for not carrying out the ordered hit by God on Mark. After condemning Rick's soul to hell in 2009, Sheryl went on she went on to spiritualsingles.com, and that's not like prison tender, like something I made
like
up.
Christian
That's an actual website. Spiritualsingles.com. And she went on there to find a new man. And the cats are next in the story, I promise. She struck up a conversation with a man named Sanjon. And that reminds me of like Sancho from the Orgasmo movie. I'm Sancho. What can you do? I'm Sancho. Well, what do you do, Sancho? I'm Sancho.
Isn't that the movie with the stunt?
Such a
It's a stunt cock.
the stunt cock, yeah. That was a great
Wasn't it black?
movie.
Oh, like the stunt
No.
cock wasn't like the guy in the original one a white guy and the stunt guy.
Actually, you know what? I think I actually, yeah, I
Yeah.
think in one scene it was a black stunt.
That's what made it even better.
And of course it was, because it's the
Yeah.
South Park creator, so of course it was. But she told Sanjon that Sanjon was just a white guy. But she told him that she had a church with around 125 people in it. And before I continue, Sanjon was in Asheville, North Carolina, and Sheryl was still in Washington. She seduced them, and they never met in person. It was an online thing. He said that she looked good in lingerie, which she did. She is a very good looking woman,
right?
with a long neck. But he was a professional artist who sold his paintings for big bucks, and it was a whirlwind relationship that that was basically what Sanjon said was mainly him being compliant with Sheryl. He was smitten. I mean, she was hot. And if you happen to hear this, Sanjon, I'd like to have you on the show. I'm a cult survivor myself, and I've interviewed quite a few other cult survivors. If you'd like to come on, send an email to ckcbpodcast@gmail.com. And you know what, Mary or Mark, the invitation is out there for you too as well, and even Rick. All y'all are welcome. The story is freaking fascinating. I mean, it really is. I had no clue what I was getting into when I started this episode. But so if you want to come on, seriously, hit me up. Sheryl focused on Sancho's art. She didn't like it. Of course she didn't. Specifically, she had a problem with his nude paintings because they were apparently portals for evil.
So his blasphemous nude paintings, and yet she's sending him photos of her in lingerie.
Right. Well, she's not nude.
So we're the street legal type, as long as the nipples are okay. And we're good.
But Sheryl demanded that he burn those evil paintings. Sanjon said that he burned around $50,000 worth of what he called the most beautiful paintings in the world. This was 2009, and he still kicks himself in the ass for doing it. I mean, and the documentary I saw, dude was good. Well, he still is good, but it's just, it was really good. I mean, he did a lot more than duct taping a banana to a fucking wall. She had no intention of ever meeting Sanjon. She just wanted to see if she could ruin a man without ever meeting him. Well, mission accomplished. But Sheryl doubled down on the people that she was in contact with, meaning her followers. She doubled down on the new religion aspects, really even amping up what she had already added and even adding more. In addition to what I mentioned earlier, she would now have them dancing around a fire, singing and chanting. And she even added something completely new as well. Take a guess.
Yay!
Cats! Lots and 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 lots of cats. And that's where we'll pick up next week in part 2.
Don't worry, people. They're coming.
I had to do this. I had no idea this episode would be a 2-parter. I mean, I really didn't. And now we're going to bring in Sandra's husband, Doug, to do his Beer of the Week segment. How's it going, Doug? Haven't seen you in a while. Haven't seen you in a while either.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, man. Been a hot minute. How you been?
I've been good. I've been going crazy, but whatever.
Yeah. All right.
What do you got for us?
Okay, so I'm going to deviate a little bit from the normal that I normally do in the way of beer this time. I'm going to switch it up a little bit.
Okay.
With respect to Todd and watching a few of the previous videos that he was in and such, I picked myself up one of these bad boys.
A powder blue sippy cup.
Powder blue sippy cup.
Awesome.
And I'm going to be mixing up, instead of a beer, some rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke in the powder. Oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, but like all things, I got to do a little special, right? So with my beers that I do and everything, it's other than that one we won't talk about from a few weeks ago. This is a special one. So this rum is not Captain Morgan. It is not. This is it's from Tropical Isle Palms. And you can only get this at ABC Liquor. That's the one fun fact about this. It's only available at ABC Liquor.
Is it like a name brand from them, or?
No, it is not a name brand from them. It's the only distributor that has it is ABC Liquor.
Okay.
But it's produced and bottled, Tropic Palms Company in Princeton, Minnesota. So it's out of Minnesota. But the one thing that really gets me about this is this has won several awards for spiced rum and such. All of the ingredients are all natural. No artificial colors, sweeteners, preservatives, any of that stuff.
So no corn syrup.
No, all natural. It's won several awards, and the best part is it's affordable. Like this bottle, it's a 750 ml, right? 70 proof, normal rum, right? But $15. $15 for this.
Man.
It's 750, so it's a 750 ml, so a normal bottle of liquor and whatnot. But $15 for this, and it's super good. It's a really, really good spiced rum. I can't recommend this stuff enough. It's a good mixing rum. It's not a sipping rum. There's other high end models that are bottles or whatnot that are sipping rums and whatnot. If you're looking for making your rum and cokes or whatnot, this right here. This is the stuff.
Okay.
But again, it's Tropical Isle Palms spiced cast rum. Really, really good. So let's get it done here. So I've even got my little measuring
shot
thing here.
Measuring.
Yep. So we're gonna do one, and we're gonna do one for Todd. We're gonna do a double here. So
nice.
There's that. And with my rum and cokes, I do cherry coke opposed to regular coke. I like to add a little bit of pizzazz to it. But pour that up there. There's that. So we have our rum and coke mixed
in the powder blue sippy cup.
In the powder blue sippy cup with the topper on it, and let's give her a sip. Oh, that is smooth. Oh, that is so good. Even with a double pour, it is amazing. It is very smooth, very sweet. But yeah. So for Todd, here's to you. Thank you so much for everything you did for us. Cheers.
Thank you for doing that. That's awesome. I mean, putting together that tribute episode was rough, but got it done, and people are loving it. I mean, I've gotten some serious PMs from people just saying how sweet they thought that episode was, and so yeah, it was definitely it was hard at sometimes to do it, but it needed to be done because that man was special.
Mm.
So.
But rum and Coke in a powder blue sippy cup, specifically for Todd, and a little bit of surprise for you, Bill. Wanted to change it up a little bit and tribute to him. Wanted to do that for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was awesome. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
We'll be back to beer soon enough.
Yeah, we'll be back to beer next week.
Yeah.
So
we'll get you one that's really nasty. So
so, but
pickle.
All right, but yes, so definitely check it out if you can grab it. It's readily available any ABC liquor around. But Tropical Isle Palms
Tropic
Spice Cast Rum, all
Tropic
natural
Isle.
ingredients, beautiful color. Definitely check it out.
It's Tropic, Doug, not tropical.
Yeah, Tropic. Sorry,
It's
Tropic Isle
Tropic.
Palm. Tropic.
Tropic Isle.
Tropic Isle Palms. It sounds like a neighborhood in Lakeland. Even there's no salt water around Lakeland.
So there you go, Bill. But yeah, we'll get back to beer next week.
All right. Thanks. And tell people how to contact you to.
Oh yeah.
So, it's been a minute since you guys have been on.
It has.
Yeah.
It's
been rough for us too. We've been through the ringer as well, but I mean, you also notice, Doug's black nails. We went to see Metallica.
How was that, by the way?
Oh, it was really good. Yeah, really good. They it's first time for both of us, seeing Metallica. It was a bucket list band for me. I have now seen, with the exception of one, I have seen all the bands that I would want to see at least one time in my life. So, but yeah, there's just one band left that I want to see, but they're not really touring much anymore. So if they do get to the States, I would like to see them, but it's Rammstein.
Okay.
I would like to see Rammstein at some point, if they ever come back to the States or whatnot. But all the other bands I grew up listening to and such that are still touring, I've seen at least once. So Metallica was one of the last ones on that list.
Metallica is on my bucket list too. And crazy, I'll make it quick, but I've got a crazy story about that. Because Friday night, I was actually there at the stadium. I was Ubering. And I picked up these people who were leaving at about 8:00. I'm like, what the hell? Well, apparently, they had gotten sick. Maybe they drank too much during the day with the sunlight and weren't hydrated. I don't know.
So,
but they were sick. So they left after Limp Bizkit got done.
Yeah.
And I picked them up, and they had decided that they weren't going to go to I made the comment. I was like, look, if you could re-enter on your ticket, I would pay you for your ticket right now, park the car and go in.
Yeah, no re-entrant,
right.
no re-entry. But no, there. So the way that
she said, it was a mom and her like 20-something-year-old daughter. But and they were both like green, but they're like, well, we're not going to go back on Sunday. Let me transfer you I'll give you the tickets for Sunday. I'm like, how much? Like, no, I'll just give them to you. What? Really? Hell yeah! I'm like, I'll my daughter would love the hell out of that. Hell yeah! But she tried to do it, but because they had bought the tickets as for both nights, they weren't transferable. Because the show
used the first night,
right?
Yeah,
and it's just like I almost had tickets for Sunday.
Yeah. So I can tell you the way the tour went, right? So earlier in the week, they were in Charlotte, North Carolina, then they went to Atlanta, then Tampa, and then Texas. So you got to figure everyone from Florida, but also Southern Georgia, Alabama, etc. They were all coming in. There were a lot of people there that, in my opinion, did not know how to drink in the Florida heat. Because there was a couple sitting next to us, and I could tell like they had put them back before the concert, and like halfway through the Metallica set, they were just sitting in their chairs,
Well,
Well,
everybody.
no, that woman kept getting up and slipping past it. Like there was a woman who was next to Doug, and you can't move in those seats, like unless you stand up. Like no one can even get by you. And this woman kept getting up and going back and forth and back and forth. And she apologized at one point, and I was just kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, lady, I'm like, if you're sick, just go up there and stay by the bathroom. Like stop getting up and shoving, because then you got to walk past 15 people, everyone has to get up.
Right.
And then there was an older couple to the other side of us, and the gentleman had a cane, and he kept having to get up and sit
Oh,
and
God.
up and sit and up and sit. And halfway through Metallica's set, they went and they fucked off. And he was like, I'm
Yeah.
done, I can't anymore, because like he
Yeah.
was up and down the whole time. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. So they left like halfway through the set. Of course, we were those old people that, once we started hearing, Enter
look at the kitty.
Sandman. Oh, that's one of our new kittens, Nacho.
Look
Yeah,
at
we're
that
keeping him in
kitty.
my office for now. So come on, bud.
But yeah, like once Enter Sandman started playing, we're like, and we're old and we're leaving because I don't want to sit in
we beat
traffic for
traffic.
an hour and a half.
Exactly.
We met
Yeah.
a couple there, and they were sitting in traffic, getting out for like an hour and a half. They said, and like
Oh,
literally, as soon as the last song, because I looked at the set list online, I knew the last song played. As soon as it started, we left. Straight shot home. We were home in 45. We were home in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So
Master of Puppets.
No
I'm like,
traffic
bye.
whatsoever. Yeah, peace. We out.
But we
We're
heard
home.
it. We heard it. Walking
You could
away,
hear
like,
it, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like,
we literally we're walking to the car. We
Master of
hear it
Puppets,
all the way to the car, and okay, we're good.
Yeah,
exit
probably-
light.
but
we're walking
serious,
like,
what you said, what you said and everything is why I don't go to football games or stadium concerts anymore. It's too much bullshit to have to deal with and all that stuff for the amount of money.
65,000 people, man. 65,000
71. 71.
71?
On I can't remember if I saw something today saying that that I think it was Sunday that set an attendance record beating out Taylor Swift, 71,000.
I believe
well,
it.
good.
And
That makes me feel better.
that show has been getting rave reviews as apparently that particular show had some sort of magic that wasn't there at other shows on the tour. That particular show, Friday or Sunday, I don't know, but that show is being heralded as like one of the greatest metal concerts of all time. So God, you guys are lucky.
It was really cool. It was not just them, but there were 3 bands that were on my bucket list, and I got all of them in this two night thing. With Metallica was one, and then obviously Limp Bizkit and Pantera. Now, granted, I didn't get to see Pantera with Dimebag and Vinnie Paul, right?
But Zakk Wylde and Charlie Benante is a damn good replacement.
yeah, it was really good. So I got to see Pantera, I got to see Limp Bizkit, and I got to see Metallica. All 3 in a 2-night thing, which was awesome. But the only band left, like I said, that's on my bucket list is Rammstein at some point. But all the other bands I listened to growing up and whatnot, I've seen them all live, which is great. At least once.
I would have loved to. If I had to choose one night or the other, it would have been Sunday because of Pantera and Suicidal. But I'd seen Suicidal before. I saw them open for Queensryche.
Nice.
But Pantera I've never seen. I would have loved to see them. Like Limp Bizkit, I couldn't. I'd rather see Limp Bizkit like in a place like, I don't know, Orpheum or something like that. Like a smaller venue. It seems like it would be more fun for Limp Bizkit. And the 9 Kills, whatever.
Ice Nine Kills.
I had no idea who they are.
That's the second time we've seen them. I'm a huge Ice Nine Kills fan. I love their music and whatnot.
Yeah, we saw them at 98 Rock Fest, I think. But
we did. That was the first time we saw them at 98 Rock Fest a few years ago.
Wait, didn't they do that video when Terrifier 3 came out?
They did.
Yes.
They did.
Oh, okay.
They did one of the songs on the Terrifier 3 album. So
okay, I know who they are then.
I didn't know who Suicidal Tendencies was. We sat in the arena.
I didn't know who they were. I'd heard the name before, like I'd heard the name, but I had never heard any of their music.
Nope.
You do know that the bass player of Metallica, Rob Trujillo, used to play for Suicidal
I didn't know that.
back in the 80s, and the guy playing for Suicidal now is Rob's son.
Oh,
Oh.
cool.
I didn't know who I was like, meh. And it was too hot because, I like Ice Nine Kills and Limp Bizkit. So we were kind of out in the sun for at least a good hour and a half until it set enough to shade our
Yeah.
seating section. But word to the wise, if you ever go to a concert at night at Raymond James, get a ticket on the west side of the stadium,
That would be the home. That would be the home side.
because those people
Because
on the other side, especially up higher, they were in the sun till friggin' 8:30. Oh my God.
Mhm.
I would never. That
Oh,
would have
that's
been
by
awful.
design. That's by design. So the Bucks, it's just like that in the Dolphins stadium. The Bucks and the Dolphins on the home side, they get the shade, while the opposing team, and like the Dolphins, they take it one step further. For their home games, they wear all white. You imagine the Steelers coming down, having to wear their home uniforms out there in that sun.
Yeah.
That's
So-
by design.
All right.
Would do that.
Well,
All right.
I'm gonna go and check out,
Yeah,
and
we
I'll
went a
let you
little
guys-
long, but I hadn't seen you guys in a while.
So,
But we digress.
but yeah, it's ckcbeer@gmail.com. Send me some beer, or get in touch with me, and we'll figure out how to get it sent to me. I'm happy to review it. So looking for
Absolutely.
people to send me some beer, and happy to go through it, review it, and give you my thoughts.
All right. Thanks, Doug. We'll see you next week. Not sorry for the cliffhanger. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. We appreciate the hell out of it. Please subscribe, like, follow, YouTube page, comment, follow us on whatever streaming platform you use, Spotify, Apple, iHeart. You all know
If you
what the
like
hell
us,
to do.
tell a friend.
5-star ratings are awesome. 5-star ratings are awesome too. I just got a 1-star recently where somebody was like actually telling me how to do my podcast. So, where's your podcast, bitch? Where's yours? But anyway, if you like us, tell a friend. If you hate us, tell an enemy. And until next week,
Later.
Later.